Welcome all attendees and listeners to our program. I find a lot of you have already joined in and many of you are trying to come up. Good morning to you all on a May Day. To begin with, on behalf of the Colliers fraternity, we wish you, by the grace of God, you are all safe and secure. The COVID-19 pandemic has created an unprecedented scenario. It has impacted the real estate market in a big way. From the institutional investors to the retail buyers, the crisis has affected one and all. So what we are looking at is a scenario where the real estate market was grappling with the demand and a subdued kind of a market sentiment. Although the sales had increased in Q4 2019 and they have outpaced the launches, the current crisis has pulled everything back. So as I said, the story is unprecedented. A lot of diverse comments, sentiments are going around in the market. What I have put up is that there is a deepened market sentiment. People are saying, are the property prices going to fall? Will there be a definite increase in unsold inventory, increase in property demand, slump in real estate, and slump in land prices? So much of talk and thought processes are going on. Now, why does all this become so important when it comes to real estate? And that can be reflected by surely on the numbers. Now, if you see real estate in isolation as an industry, some key statistics are over there for you that this industry generates plus 50 million employment. It actually supports 250 allied industries to whom it gives a multiplier effect. It's a 6 to 7% of the country's GDP. That's huge. And more importantly, it has the potential and the projection is to going up to 13% of the expected GDP by 2025. So coming to the look ahead in terms of what is the country, what are the people keen to learn? That is it a short-term pain and a long-term gain? The other point is we all know the country is strong. There is a business fundamentals are quite remains unchanged. So how soon do we turn a new leaf? And the next point is the pandemic is necessitating a cultural shift in the way we do things. But what does it exactly mean for all of us? So there are a lot of questions which the market is trying to find answers on various type of things. Various questions are floating around. Some of them like, will the market slump in demand more like a permafrost, which is a long winter coming? Will there be a sharp correction prices? Are the lower interest rates actually help the buyer to return to the market? Is the market bracing for an inordinate delay and deferment? Is the product launches and marketing getting seriously affected? So much of questions are there in the market for all of us. And what we wanted to do as Colliers is that we brought this webinar specifically for all of you in the audience is to address some of the key questions. And the agenda looks like this, that India real estate scenario, is it an existential threat or a story of resilience? Number two, what are the learnings from the current crisis? It is so important for us to know. Number three, what are the key moves that the industry should do to help themselves? And number four, a very important point is how are the bigger brands going to contribute and build the trust? To do this, I am very pleased that we wanted to bring an illustrious panel of experts for all of you, and we want to hear from them. I would not, I would actually go a step ahead and call them as thought leaders, people who know the pulse of the trade, from whom we can derive the benefits. These are people who will help us give a view on the challenges that we are facing and how we can win them over. So addressing to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our thought leaders. And this is our expert panel of speakers. I have over here Mr. J.C. Sharma, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Shobha Limited, a person who needs no introduction. Welcome, Mr. Sharma, to the program. I have also Mr. Mahesh Khaitan, Director, Salarpuria Sadhva Group. Mr. Mahesh Khaitan and Salarpuria Group are one of the most respected business person and leader in the industry. I have Mr. Abhishek Kapoor, COO of Residential Business from Purvankara, As we know, Purvankara is a brand who is synonymous with trust and loyalty. I also have Riza Sebastian, head and president residential business of Embassy Group. Embassy Group being one of the titans of Indian real estate industry. I also was supposed to have Mr. Rakesh Reddy from Aparna Constructions as a director. Aparna, as you all know, is a trusted brand, again from Hyderabad, and a brand which is known for quality. But Mr. Rakesh has sent his apologies early in the morning. He has got a call from an extremely senior person in the government hierarchy, because a very good news for that also, and we can't complain, that Hyderabad, as we all of us know, has started easing the sanctions and letting construction to get started. So Rakesh was not in a position to say no. To take you through with this session, I'm Indranil Basu from Colliers International, who will be moderating this program. So one note for the audience quickly is that I am sure you will have a lot of questions. It has garnered a lot of interest in the market. That's what we understand. I'm happy to mention there will be a slot at the end for the question and answer session. Please send in your questions in the question tab and we will take it up at the end. So with this, I hereby move to the main program of the show and with all the attendees and going to the Q&A session. So starting the program and the Q&A session, I will first delve into an understanding of the market sentiment and what is the global impact on the real estate which is coming up. For this, I will go over to Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, can you advise us on this?
Thank you, Indranil. Thank you, Colliers. You have created a platform where we believe that the stakeholders from the sector, we give our views in a time and a period which was not known to us till about 6 weeks ago, and we are not sure how it is going to pan it out in next 3 to 6 months, maybe in a year's time and beyond a year's time. But having been in this sector for more than 2 decades and having seen India's growth both in the office space as well as in the residential space, probably we all have developed some kind of a knowledge, some kind of an understanding locally as well as globally, which we will try to see to it that we can share with you during these crisis times. We need to believe that it will be our optimism. We need to believe that it is our India story during this pandemic. We need to believe that the resilience what we have shown with an inadequate health system, with a population of about 130 crore people, that so far we have come out with flying colors, both in the reported cases as well as in the unfortunate death numbers. This also shows how our frontline soldiers, doctors, nurses, police, bureaucracy, and even politicians, they have risen to the occasion. This is also an occasion where we all understand that the way we people, the people of India, the way we have responded to the social distancing, or we have adapted to this kind of an online platform to share our views, to conduct our business, this adaptability, I think this is also unparalleled and gives us the confidence and the hope that despite the kind of uncertain times and challenges we are likely to face, we will be able to overcome because this is in our inherent nature. Coming back to our sector per se, you have put beautifully that yes, short term, definitely there will be issues, there will be challenges, but at the same time, this short term will also be a period of great learning, unlearning, and relearning of so many things. So we will be using this short-term period to see to it that we evolve and we are able to face even such kind of an uncertain times in a better manner. Then we have got certain examples. We have seen how China, from where this crisis had come, and the way it has faced, has taken care of its economy and especially that of its real estate, and how people have started going
We have lost your voice, Sharma ji. Can you hear us? Yeah. Okay. I think I'll come back to Mr. Sharma. Sir, when you are able to, we are able to hear you. Just make a sound, and I'll come back to you on the question. But in the meantime, I will just move over to the next question which I had, and specifically on the India real estate market outlook, and will we witness some amount of resilience? The question which I have here from Mr. Mahesh Khaitan from Salarpuria Sadhva is that will the opportunity that lies in our Indian market and our inherent resilience, will opportunity outpace the risk? Over to you, Mr. Khaitan.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today being a 1st May and our Labor Day basically for all of you. And as to my best wishes to all, to on them we are depending today. My best wishes to all of you, and I know that you are today. You are in this situation. You are struggling a lot. That's my especially my labor friends. My best wishes to them. My sincere sympathy with all of you. And now it's for the time being only that it will take some time to come back to the situation. And thank you, Indrani, and thank you, my dear friends who are in the part of this panelist who have been sharing their views as well as long as India's real estate story is concerned. I believe India will eventually do better. And as you know that the real estate market has gone a radical change with implementation of the RERA, and all the developers, I would say that all the developers today exhibit strong corporate governance standards and focus on the execution and timely delivery. And the real estate sector has overcome all the challenges in the past and always come back with a stronger. We need to understand that Indian real estate is not only need based, but also has a lot of emotional, sentimentals, values attached to it. And in today's time, it's become much more evident as to how important it is to own a well ventilated property structured house in a gated community with all open spaces. And it has also proved us that real estate is most secured investment option available as on date. As we knew that today is one of the most secured investment used to be mutual fund or sometimes banks also. But there also we are facing a lot of challenges. And COVID-19 will change the way we live the social distancing, and work from home will be lifestyle in days to come. These trends will definitely make people to invest in homes. People staying rented accommodation will plan to invest in their own homes. The millennials were following the concept, renting and living life in the travel freely. How this pandemic has brought a different perspective. They have realized that value of the owning the property. After the all resistance, due to uncertainties over the jobs and world economy in general, people will start investing in real estate. And it will be huge opportunity for ready to move in units for home design for multi-purpose use, accommodating all the residential requirement as well as meeting the needs of home. And in addition to that, real estate is not only for homes. I would give a different verticals which is a part of real estate. As like real estate is, if I divide into verticals, start with retail, hospitality, commercials, industrial and logistics. Understand, retail will have a short time, some challenges at this point of time, but very soon it will come back. In next one after 2 quarters, that Indians will be celebrating a lot of festivals. And I was seeing one video that millions and millions of hens are in one blocked out in one place, and once they get opened up, and all millions of hens has come out. It similar way, once all we Indians will come out like that kind of hen, and definitely our mindset is there to boost our economy, and definitely these are retails are have to come back. I understand there are some challenges are there, especially where the organized retail malls are there for the timing to maintain the social distancing, but it'll come back. As long as hospitality is concerned, hospitality and tourism both are together. Yes, that might take some time to come back, and my sincere support will be there for to them, especially that industry. And another thing, understanding that definitely my fellows, Indian fellows, won't likely to travel abroad next 2 years, if I'm right, for the tourism purpose. So definitely that support will come back to our Indian tourism and hospitality industry. It might take 3 to 4 quarters, but it will bounce back, and it might bounce back in bigger way. As long as commercials are concerned, I keep hearing every day work from home. As I gave you example, all the hands came out all of a sudden, similar way. Today's might be feeling work from home. Okay, these companies are saying, I've seen some kind of companies, there's 20% of people made a mandatory work from home. I was talking to one of my friend, Baba, he don't pay any single pice money to me as a salary, but ask me to get out from here. So that situation with everyone today. So work from home, some strategically it will work. But when we keep engaging personal engagement, definitely the quality of production may not be extend to the when we work from home. So some extent you can say the commercials are concerned 20%, 25%, 30%. It might be likely work from home. But in another way, when we're seeing the to maintain the social distancing, today we might be requiring around 60 to 70 square feet of per square feet seat. I'm talking about the built up area, which might go up to around 120 to 125 seats. So as long as commercials are concerned, space requirement is concerned, real estate is concerned, it will remain same. As I've seen that last year, 2019, almost we occupied around 45 to 45 million square feet occupied. Yes, definitely 1 quarter is already gone. Another 2 quarter, definitely there'll be consolidation, might be some challenges. But hopefully that last quarter of this year will bounce back. Another is talking about industrials and logistics. It's a right opportunity for India. As our PM also said last meeting, to all the states, chief ministers, its opportunity has come to the India, grab it. And definitely it's a big opportunity for as a India prospect point of view to get into industrial and logistics, and it will continue to grow. And that either way, directly, indirectly, it will boost our real estate business. And as I mentioned, our residential sectors definitely, it might be for the timings, you can say that it might be slow, but it will bounce back in shortly. As Sarmaji said earlier, that China's numbers are growing. So we will also see that coming quarters, we might be seeing that to come back to the same situation today. That's my submission.
Uh, thank you, Maheshji. That's a great word of optimism for you, and good to learn that India overall will do better. Now, I will now start narrowing down the topic closer to the residential sector, which is a huge sector among that. For this, I'll turn over to Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek, this residential sector, and you're pretty bullish about it whenever I've been talking to you. Is it poised to bounce back? What's your view on this?
So Indranil, let me thank you first for having me here on the panel. So I'll start with where Maheshji just ended. If you look at China numbers for the month of March, they were 3 times the month of Feb. April numbers are looking even better. Now they are ahead of the curve as far as this whole COVID-19 cycle is concerned, right? All the countries are going through their cycles. So in the cycle, they are ahead of us. And the moment you look at that number, you realize that which I think is going to be a big demand, government is already really a lot of initiatives, firstly to protect, safeguard people. And then now I think there is a serious amount of effort going on to engage with various industries to bring the economy back on track. Now, assuming that stimulus will come back, and it will come, I believe, I think there is going to definitely be a very positive environment in a few months. Very shortly, I'm sure within next 1 month, we'll hear some announcements happening. While we look at, let me come down now to the real estate piece. Now, typically, as a human behavior, we should be cautious about having extreme reactions. We have a tendency to get driven by sentiments in a certain environment. I think there's a balanced view that is required of the way we look at our business and the way we look at our country. I completely agree with the points of Maheshji and Sharmaji, where they said that India is a resilient, very resilient economy and country as such. If you see our sector for last 5 to 7 years, we have been in a kind of a downward cycle. I think we have hit a bottom. In fact, for a while, we have been at the bottom of that cycle for some time. My view is from here going forward, we will bounce back. I'm not taking away the fact that government will have to support the sector and we'll have to do a lot of things, which of course we are talking to the government's talking to us, and everyone's working towards it. My view is that we will bounce back from here. So I think that is point number 1. Point number 2 is I think there are 3 key issues that have happened as far as residential is concerned. The first thing is that people have been at home for now almost 40 days. I think there is no other time that people have realized the value of being at home and having a home. So the fact is that is where safety is, that is where your home is. That has really sunk into people. People have worked from home, people have been with the family, you realize what is the value of a home. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is that everybody for that security, whether it is the NRIs, I think there is a huge opportunity there in the international markets, because they will also look at buying a home back in India. So they are, of course, definitely a set of people who will look at it. The second piece is all the domestic home buyers who have been holding their decisions have realized that they want their own home now. Second piece is, a couple of times has been already touched upon, the only hard asset that you have in your life, which you can, which actually is probably one of the largest investments people make. It's not really an investment, but we denote it as an investment. But the fact is that the one hard asset which protects your principal and over time gives you all the returns that you would expect from your investment is real estate. I think no other time have we looked at the market and said, this is the time when we should definitely look at real estate compared to every other asset class. The third piece, I think I'd like to, and I'm sharing this because, you asked me earlier also as to why are you bullish? What is it that is causing the optimism? The third piece, which is important, is the quantum of liquidity that is getting pumped into the system. Your low interest rate regime is going to be here for some time, and that narrows down the gap for decision making from the end user's point of view. So everybody who's going to look at taking a buying decision, to my mind, will not have a better time to take a buying decision than now. So broadly, I think while I cannot say that yes, government of course needs to take initiatives, consolidation will happen, brands are the ones which will succeed. These landscape changes have been happening now.
I think there's been a lot of excitement. So I think Abhishek's just camera has got frozen. By the time Abhishek comes back, I'll of course want to hear more from him. I think he's weaving a great story of optimism. But I will quickly pass over to Riza Sebastian over here. And Riza, on riding on this whole stream of optimism and the resilience in the market, and coming back to the residential sector, what is your view on this business continuity and launches? What I mean to ask you is, a lot of key developers are doing quite a lot of good projects. They are planning to launch a lot of projects. Somebody is in pre-launch stage. What is your take on the subject? Will they all stop? Will they get deferred? What is it, a story of gloom? What is your opinion on this? Over to you, please.
So Indranil, I would say that, first of all, very warm welcome to all the viewers over here, and happy to be on this panel of, very esteemed colleagues of mine. From my perspective, I would say that the business continuity, yes, in the short term could get affected. We are seeing a situation today where, right from the exodus of migrant labor which has happened, some of us have been able to hold on to our labor at our respective sites, but there has been an impact on our construction schedule, so to speak. So people would be today revisiting their entire timelines on construction. So while we had plans of, we have plans of almost launching about 5 to 6 million square feet in the coming months. I think in our recent conversation with Rakesh Reddy as well in Hyderabad, he had plans of almost 15 million square feet. Now, all these plans could be deferred by a couple of quarters, to make sure that we get back to speed as far as is concerned. But having said that, I mean, our Indian business fundamentals, I would say, are more or less in place, as far as to protect our real estate cause. First of all, the shifting family structures, I would say the extended Indian joint family has given way to nuclear households, right? So what we define as a couple or a single person with or without children. So the proportion of nuclear households is only increasing. And during the past 2 decades, we are saying that by 2025, this is projected to increase to almost 74%. Now, if that being the case, there could be demand for more homes. We're also saying that urbanization is on the rise, right? With around 10 million people migrating to cities every year, about 40% of India's population will be living in urban areas by the year 2030. We are also saying that there is a growing Indian middle class, which is very strong, 390 million by 2023. Now, this is a time for all of us to actually go back to the drawing board and re-strategize product design, rationalize pricing, and actually come back, and make sure that we focus on asset classes which will shape the industry in the times to come. And I would corroborate the views of Mr. Ketan as well as Abhishek and say that real estate is one of the safest investment options right now, right? So despite all this ongoing turmoil in the country, rates per square feet for residential real estate across branded players have not seen the volatility that's a financial instrument or the stock market has seen. Sensex lost 10,000 points in 1 month. So where is the safety today in financial instruments? And the fact that there is a very limited inventory being introduced in the market, and that goes back to the point that I made earlier, that if everyone is deferring their plans, I would say the available ready to move in homes will start seeing a very sharp rise in interest post this lockdown period. So customers can actually touch and feel the quality of the product. There is no risk, no GST. And even if this COVID pandemic kind of pushes completion deadlines by a quarter or even a year, the impending real estate boom is inevitable.
That's you have articulated the matter pretty nicely. And you mentioned about Rakesh Reddy and Aparna. Apart from your outlook and strategies of taking forward, for the audience, I'll give a nice trivia about Aparna Constructions from Hyderabad. Rakesh should have mentioned. What he mentioned to me earlier was that that in 2008-2009, when the recession had happened, Aparna had prepared a very aggressive strategy and had gone ahead. They never stopped. They galloped through the recession, didn't put a brake to their projects, and eventually they weaved a great success story. So this is some learnings which are there from the past recessions, which is shared, and I wanted to share with all of you. So moving ahead on this wave of optimism, and it is true that the resi market will eventually and almost certainly come out of the current lull. The bearish sentiment is going to go away. But taking forward from the previous point of launch of new projects, which we are looking at, there is an interesting feedback coming out that the industry thought leaders are deriving lessons from the current situation, which you have briefly been touched upon. So I would like to take this question to Mr. Mahesh Khetan and ask him that, can you share with us, Mr. Mahesh, some of the learnings from this pandemic?
Audible?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Well, these are challenging times. So every time when you are faced with some challenge, you need to reinvent yourself. So
absolutely,
this pandemic has forced us to see how the homes as a multitasking zones and as a secure haven and with an efficient workplace and emerging the playground like serene meditating zone and effective gym and entertainment corner. Today I'm seeing that everywhere we have barred. You cannot get into gym, you can't get into your swimming pool now. So we all will have to go back to our drawing board as being a developer in this situation, how we can facilitate our residents. So this all demands a very high level of planning and efficient space utilization. And we are looking at work from home being a new concept, which that's amenities and lifestyles and offer what might outspace the currently the highly saturated location in demand. And the technology that's supporting work from home will become again integral part of our new designs. As we all be struggling today, we are depending on Wi-Fi, so we might have to get these lines, everything, so where we should not get disturbed every time. I couldn't see that Sarmaji is in between, so all we have to come out is that. And these apartments have always been favorite among us buyers and will remain to be so. As human, we love to engage and cannot live in isolation. We all apartments, like during the, gave us opportunity to be a part of community while maintaining the social distancing. At the same time, the community is as a large was able to comprehend together to certain challenges that they are facing today. To come up with various measures to combat it. So we have to plan where in this situation how we can make comfort to all my residence owners. You might have seen today, I think so, where the big apartments are there, large quantity apartments are there. We may not have faced much challenges about the grocery because all of we have planned there. This also today buy the grocery also is become a challenge today. I'm not saying that this will be locked down forever, but during short time also, this apartments will always will help compared to staying in individual houses. So this is my submission here from my end.
Thank you, Maheshji, for this. And taking forward this point that which you explained about these new things and trends and learnings that you're bringing, it is also true that this pandemic will bring a cultural change in the way we do things. Perhaps the way the home buyers buy things or they choose to buy is going to change. So there is a dire need of bringing innovation into the trade. And to learn a little more on this, now I'll turn over again to Riza Sebastian. Riza, can you share with us your views and some tips, if you can, if I may say, 8 secrets on how you want to, what is your innovation in business and product strategy that you're looking at? Okay, I'll come back to Riza. I think her screen has got frozen, so she will come back and I'll take the question. In the meantime, just a quick word for audiences who have joined late. There is a Q&A session at the end, and please post your questions in the Q&A tab, and we will come back to you with a few questions for the panelists. So by the time Riza comes back, I want to go to one subsector which I think people are very keen to know, and that is about affordable housing. So just a trivia that nearly 40% of new launches across 7 cities in India during the past few years has come from affordable housing. So I would like to ask Abhishek Kapoor, should there be a concern on the affordable housing segment that people are saying it might get decimated or something? What's your view on this, Mr. Abhishek?
So, you started with the right trivia, actually, Indranil. 40% launches have been in affordable housing. The reason that it has happened is because there is a huge demand, and there is a lot of pent-up demand in our view. As Ankara and Provident, we have done a lot of work in the affordable housing segment as well as mid-income housing, other than, of course, luxury, which we are doing. But our view is that the largest segment continues to be affordable housing and the mid segment. Now, this space is going to continue to evolve. Of course, there may be changes, and the way we are seeing it, and we are engaging. We have already delivered more than 10,000 affordable homes. The way we are talking to our customers even today, they are far more adept to and willing to explore opportunities on digital platforms. They are willing to engage because these are all young, the average age group of these people, the profile of these customers is such that if they have and they are all realizing, all the things that I said earlier, low interest rate regime, the fact that safety is important, the principal is protected, all of these things are showing a lot of positive traction from all of these, end users who are looking at making the buying decision. Affordable housing is largely about, first time home buyers. Sorry, you want to say something, Indri?
No, I just said Riza is back, so just
yeah. Okay.
She's able to. Go ahead, please.
So So the point I'm making is that these are first-time home buyers, and they realize that there is no better time to buy than now. That's my view, and they're very savvy to look at technology and digital platforms to explore these opportunities. So I think my view is that as we go along, there may be some deferment of demand. The demand is pretty much there. They may take slightly longer to take decisions because this is obviously there is a disruption and people are exploring and understanding, and the new normal as it sets in and stability comes in, which is going to happen. Human mind is made like that. We are resilient, we adapt, we accept, and then we move on and get on with our lives. So I think that we are in that phase, and it might take slightly longer for the decision making to happen. But to say that it will get disseminated, no, I don't think it will get decimated. It will definitely get a positive boost, especially in context of the fact that, again, my view is that as a country there is a huge opportunity for us to gain at the global platform level. I'm taking it a step away from what you'd asked me, but let me make a point here. If you look at there is going to be a significant movement, political, financial, and trade movement and realignment in the world. To my mind, India stands to be the biggest gainer in next 2 years of this realignment across the world. And simply because of our demographics, the fundamentals are there. We have all the industry, we have the youngest population and the second largest population in the world. The demand is locally with us. If we have to just simply do business of only our demand, we are large enough to sustain ourselves, is what I'm trying to say. Having said that, I think globally there's going to be a lot of realignment, and India will significantly gain. And the mid segment and affordable segment will be the biggest gainers in this whole process. So that's broadly the reason I believe that. But of course, what is extremely important is that we are able to deliver to the changing demand, consumer behavior, and adapt ourselves to the new way of presenting the product to this end customer. I think those are going to be very important aspects of being successful in the process.
Fantastic, Abhishek. And what I heard from you, I kept on listening, and two big tag words which I'm taking from what you spoke and what the speakers have been saying. No better time to buy. That's a big message coming out from this platform. And the next even bigger message coming out: India stands to be the biggest gainer. That's serious and great rays of hope. I'll come back to Riza. We lost her while she was speaking on the aspect of innovation, and you also briefly touched this upon, Abhishek. Riza, over to you on this point.
Andrew, what I was trying to convey was that today we are part of the world's largest ever work from home experiment, right? I mean, the coronavirus outbreak has been the most dramatic disruption to our office working culture in our lifetime. So while we don't see any downturn in the office market, we say that there is going to be continuous demand for offices. Social distancing is now part of our collective vocabulary, and working from home has almost become the new normal. We at Embassy, we've been creating differentiated products in the residential sector for a while. So from the year in the 1980s, Embassy was the first to introduce luxury residences in Bangalore. We've moved on thereafter to provide very fully integrated managed residences, very hospitality driven projects in our ultra luxury category. And in 2018, we introduced the country's first Alexa enabled smart homes. So they have all been such initiatives, and but today I would say that developers around the world are being forced to introduce and look at innovation, introduce innovation into their co-product, and there is no other way out of this. I think at this point in time, developers have a very golden opportunity to make smart homes with office study rooms. The preferred inventory, while we track market research, we see is that 2 BHKs, 3 BHKs is what we were seeing moving. But I would say that this could probably move to a 2.5 BHK now, or even a 3.5 BHK with provisions to install essential gadgets, and we should actually be looking at isolating it from other rooms, provide separate entry exit access. We would even be actually looking at creating breakout zones at multi levels, because living in high rises and organizing so many people into one space sometimes becomes a challenge given today's scenario. We would have to actually go back and look at how the entry and exit arrival experiences, right from how deliveries are planned to the homes. How can we use voice to start an elevator or to access an elevator, because we will have to make it contactless. How do we introduce higher broadband connectivity to allow people to work from home for extended hours? Can we use video conferencing in our clubhouse and provide co-working facilities within our clubhouses? Even aspects like, today, I think what is actually striking standalone buildings is the fact that there is no integrated facility management teams to support them. How do we ensure that is an absolute must in all our residential offerings, to ensure there is no discontinuity of service? So even things like natural ventilation, for instance, we spend so much time in our home, natural ventilation becomes critical and key for our mental and physical health and well-being. I would also say that, going forward, we see that customers are looking for homes which are more tech-controlled, safe, secure, sustainable ecosystems that they won't have to venture out from, which will have adjacencies and augmentations to offices, to schools, to recreational facilities, hospital, maybe even a place of worship. All of these. So an integrated township condominium complexes will definitely start seeing a demand and uptake. I would also say that residential real estate is definitely becoming much more specialized. So apart from space utilization, rethinking home formats, we are going to considering a rising growth in millennial population, as well as the seniors. We would say an emergence of asset classes like co-living and senior living.
That's very educative, Riza, and it sounded more like a white paper, and somebody can just take this and start curating their products. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
But taking forward from what you just explained as a more like a checklist, if I may say, we love checklists, we love bullet points. But when I take this forward, and this is a question I'll go back to Mr. Sharma, that based on all these changes, all these cultural shifts and the demands of how we try to be adaptable, on top of that, do you think, now this is a question coming from the market, do you think there will be, sir, a correction in real estate prices? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Indranil. It's a very pertinent question, and I think the market is definitely trying to figure out what should be an answer to this thing. Because on the one hand, due to this pandemic, there is an uncertainty. There are challenges with the developer. There are challenges with the buyers. The developers have got their balance sheet to protect. The buyers need to see that their jobs are protected. And at the same time, we are, of course, passing through an uncertain time. So what I would like to highlight, that there are periods, a small window of an opportunity. Like one of our panelists said, that yes, when the lockdown was announced, the stock prices had come down almost 25%. But if you look at today, 1st of May, the month of April, with zero economic activity, literally speaking, save except some online billing activities, right? The stock market in India globally had performed the best without having any economic activity. So these are called technical corrections. Once you get through a shock process, we take decisions because of those shock needs to be overcome. The developers need to overcome their shocks, their commitments to pay to the contractors, commitments to pay to the various stakeholders, employees and others. And for the customers also, at the point of time to take a call, they need to be bold, because they are committing themselves to that particular apartment, to that particular city, to that particular job for at least a medium to long term with the income intact. So during this time, whatever we are seeing, we should look at that this is a crisis time response, and it cannot be extrapolated to arrive at any kind of a conclusion, because all of us understand, Colliers and the developers and the banks and the service providers, they all understand what is the cost of the land, what are the taxes right being paid by a developer, what are the raw material prices, what are the wages, and what is the fixed cost, including the interest carrying cost kind of a thing. And we all understand our profit margins. Mostly it is in the single digit today in India. So with a single digit profit margins, and with the cost likely to go when you follow the new norms of the construction activities, new norm of managing your offices, your input costs in the short term, they are likely to increase. So we are in a very, very classic situation where our costs are likely to go up, but maybe in a very short term, the prices may correct. But when again we look at that new inventory is not likely to come easily. The existing inventory, in any case, over a period of last 4-5 years, it has come down. And I also have a view that when we calculate that existing inventory, we are also considering those projects which are lying stuck for at least more than a year. And there is no comfort that those projects will get revived post this COVID crisis. Suddenly liquidity will get infused to those projects. So in such a situation, the law of nature, like the stock market, the way it has behaved, because people started seeing value in those stocks which were beaten down, the market also will pick up the value in the real estate. And then we look at India's real estate, and we are talking about 7 or 8 markets. You have an MMR, you have NCR, you have you have Hyderabad, you have Pune, you have Ahmedabad, you have Jaipur, not Jaipur, sorry, Kolkata, you have Chennai. These are the markets we talk about. And what are we doing? We are selling hardly 250,000 units a year.
I'll come back again on. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
So what we are talking about
Yes,
is
go ahead. Go ahead.
of 150,000 units. And look at the Indian household today, right? Throughout India, with only 32% urbanization, we have roughly, if my data says correctly, today we do not have more than 250 to 300 what you call 3 million homes. Sorry, roughly 4 divided by 130 crore. So right. So you need to migrate to the urban population. You need to see to it that considering the land costs, stamp duties, GST, 12% plus 5% further absorption, all such things, if we keep adding, I get a sense that prices have more or less settled. Some of the developers may bring down the prices little bit to improve their liquidity, to honor their commitment, to complete their projects maybe. But going forward, the things can only become better because excess liquidity is there in the system. 8 lakh crore of cash RBI is holding in reverse, which earns only 3.75% interest. The interest rates are at decadal low right now. The income tax benefits are at its highest. So you have got 7%, 7.5% home loan interest rate. You are paying 3 to 4% as your rental income, rent cost sort of a thing. You get 2 lakh plus 2 lakhs on the principal amount as well as on the interest amount as income tax benefits. So all such things, when we start at, there is only one way that the prices can only go up 6 months from now to an infinity. Again, giving the Chinese examples, I am given to understand that for 40, 50 quarters consecutively, the prices have been going up. and the average price there is almost 5 times more than what we are having in India. So if you have this kind of a scenario, I would be clear, categorical in communicating that yes, short-term price may correct downward, but medium to long term, there is only one way, which is the prices can only go up, looking at the demand, supply, and macro environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma, for putting that in the right perspective. I will now move over to another. We have talked on affordable housing a few minutes back. I will move to another interesting subsector. This is a sector which has been perceived as having a real growth potential, and I'm referring to the co-living market. I will start my question with Ms. Riza Sebastian on this. And as we all know, Embassy has forayed into the co-living sphere. So Riza, post COVID-19, what is your outlook on this sector?
We introduced co-working to India with WeWork, Embassy did, and now it's our turn to disrupt the PG market with Olive, right? That's Embassy's co-living brand. Co-living is actually built on a very on the 3 C's. We say that community, now being made possible by digital, collaboration, and connect. The global rental economy is huge. It's 335 billion USD. There's a massive gap in that demand supply in that organized co-living sector, because the target segment for co-living is the younger part of the working population. They're put through extensive training, requires physical presence in the office. There is no way that the office can replace the home. So I would say that offices will continue to grow, and the demand for co-living will grow along with it. Apart from that, we are also seeing a trend where co-living and actually student living will combine, right? Because we are seeing that the student enrollment has gone up. Now today stands at about 36 million. I'm talking about hubs like NCR, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, and they were also expected to attract close to 200,000 international students. Now with this pandemic, we have to see how that kind of pans out. And now look at it in stark contrast of the number of availability of hostel beds, which is close to about 6.5 million. Now that's a massive gap of living, organized living that we can offer them. And this gap in supplying that usable real estate is where that opportunity lies for a developer to actually provide very cost-effective, flexible, and asset-light solutions. Of course, the fundamentals will have to be ticked. There, it has to be good location. Type of accommodation is very important. What is that high-quality shared housing experience that we're talking about? Hugely dependent on technology. And so far, I would say that with COVID, being everyone's on top of mind of everybody's any sort of consideration on housing, I would say that earlier hygiene may not have been the topmost decision-making criteria, but now today, which that would have been probably 4th or 5th, but now that would probably hygiene would move to the top of the decision-making metrics. And how is it too early to make predictions on how what will be the lasting effects and what is the need for major design interventions at this stage? I would say that the whole idea of co-living, of course, stems from the use of shared spaces, but and people are going to be less likely to be comfortable with the idea of sharing, at least for the short term. So having said that, the decision to choose the place of stay has always been a very financially driven decision, right? Rather than a preference driven one. So it would be wise to actually bifurcate the audience into two, the one who will be able to afford personal spaces and the one who will not be able to, and the operators who will be successful in this space would be one that actually combines the the aspect of privacy, of hygiene, and combine that with competitive rentals.
Great to know. I would also pose the same question and ask for an opinion also from Mr. Mahesh Khaitan. I understand they have also done a lot of pioneering work in this co-living space. So, Mr. Mahesh, do you corroborate the view? Is there anything else you want to add on to this point?
No, I do agree. Whatever the Lisa said actually is a fact. Actually, that the way the kind of today when we compare to with the PG to co-living organized concept, whatever we new idea which will come. And when I was chatting with my that's Suresh, about that co-living, how they're this during this COVID-19 lockdown period, how the response as well as how the impact has come, and what is the that's residents who are staying there. And most of PGs today, you might have heard also in market, have been locked down. They face a lot of challenges. And today, I can say proudly, our all our we are almost 15,000 beds today. We are in market, and mostly 99% are alive. And during this tenure, yes, we faced a lot of challenges. We are not prepared for the to kind of lot of social infrastructure would have been provided, had to be. And coming time, definitely those also has to be incorporated in part of the co-living system. So I do agree what Riza said, and this way forward, this will be very interesting, attracting for the student and the kind of nuclear families. I'm endorsing what Riza said.
True, true. So I think that's the very interesting point came out, of course, is what you mentioned, Riza, the three C's, the community, collaboration, and connect. And that is what exactly is actually lacking in the unorganized sector. And this is an area which stands to benefit hugely if we play the cards right. Um, Moving forward to one very important question which we keep getting, and I'm getting a lot of questions coming up, and then for this I will go over to Mr. Sharma, and that is about the focus on on-time delivery. We all know the focus is there. All of you are mentioning that you need to hear your buyers and build the trust, the preparedness has to go up. So, Mr. Sharma, how do you feel construction and technology will help delivery?
I think very relevant question, Indranil. See, today, if we are going through with a legislation called RERA, primarily it is on account of our inability to match the delivery capabilities with our ability to sell the product. So somewhere why we have been complaining about low demand or India not doing well sort of a thing. Till 13-14, from 2009 onwards, we have been selling more than what we were able to deliver. And with higher sales and getting money upfront, still we wanted to grow faster than to put money back in our projects, which resulted into the RERA. And with that RERA and with the kind of a demand hit the sector has taken, it is very clear to all of us, all the stakeholders, that a project which is announced now post RERA has to be delivered with the time frame what we are communicating to the customers as well as to the statutory authorities. Keeping that thing into mind, what has happened according to me is that most of the developers have become much more organized than they were before. Say, for example, that good for construction drawing, the structural drawings, earlier it used to come as you were progressing with the construction activities. Now the developers have become far more vigilant and careful that their architects, be it structural consultants, be it the normal architects or the MT consultants, they release their drawings much in advance. The budgets are being prepared much in advance. The execution is happening at a much faster pace. The standardization has happened in our products. We have got now much higher level of standardization than we had at any given point of time. On top of this, today, when we launched the project about 5 years back, we started this affordable homes with Dream series. We decided that mechanization has to go to the next level. And from that perspective, a complete precast plant where all the elements we thought we can produce in-house at the place at which we are selling our products, because it's a 7,000 unit project. And this precast technology, where earlier the equipments were imported, the design was imported, and the knowledge was limited, over a period of last 3 years, we have become reasonably competent in the design part also, in the production part also, in the delivery part also. And today, with 2 basements, ground floor plus 13-story buildings, we are in a position to deliver those towers in 13 to 14 months, completed in all respect. And this has happened because you have been able to use this precast technology to your advantage. Similarly, today when we talk about this aluminum formwork, or that as form, or whatever we name we give, it has helped us to construct a structure much faster than at any given point of time. We have also leveraged on mechanization while doing the plumbing part, the electrical part, and other activities. So more or less, the new technology, the standardization, the mechanization, better training to the workmen, all such things, in my view, has made us relatively more competent in completing the projects faster without compromising on the quality, and at the same time keeping the cost lower than what they used to be, and passing the same benefit to our end customers. And this is the new trend where Indian developers have survived at a price point, which is, again, I repeat, at the lowest possible uh, one can think of, and still showing the resilience to see to it that they not only survive, they keep launching more number of projects, they keep meeting the larger requirements. So I would like to finish my statement by telling that we are very fast in adapting anything, everything which is new, and we are also fully adept in bringing down the cost, at the same time not compromising on the quality. And this is unique to the Indian developers, and coming times this will be displayed with much more vigor and force, is my.
Abhishek, you want to add on something to it? I think you had some views on this also.
Right. So, just to add to what Mr. Sharma is saying, see, post-COVID is going to be a very different landscape. The way we were social distancing on a construction site is a completely new thing to deal with. The hygiene that you have to deal with on the site, the way we will go about the process of construction, with the quantum of labor over time, I think what is going to be happening, as Sharma ji said, is that we will adopt new technologies to try and mitigate such disruptions, business continuity in terms of operations, and also deal with post-COVID situation wherein you will ensure that your health and safety of the labor is taken care of in the way that was not happening before this event had happened. So technology is definitely going to be an important piece as we go along in the construction space, because as I said earlier also, all the brands which have shown performance and delivery are the brands which will continue to get traction from the customer. And it's extremely critical for us to continue to deliver and continue our operations, and preferably, given the challenges that we have in the environment, minimize the disruption. And for that, I think technology and the way we go ahead and restructure our operations and continue to bring in operational efficiency is going to be very, very important.
So, do you think this is going to be one of the key moves which we are looking at, Abhishek? I'm going back to you with the same question. Is this one of the key moves, or is there anything else which you think of?
So my view is that this event, this, as we call it, as a black swan event, has changed our lives for good, especially business. Of course, businesses are going to continue to change lives of people. I mean, that is the way cultures get evolved over time. And technology is going to be the biggest takeaway to my mind. And this, so, while we spoke about construction technology, technology is applicable across the value chain of our business, and actually across the value chain of all businesses. Of course, it starts from the center of the whole piece, which is the customer, right? So the first step, which is the low hanging, which everybody is talking about right now, is digitization of the way we reach out to our customer, the way we present the product, the way we create that experience, the way we create our collaterals. That whole piece of the way we pitch the project is going through a sea change at this point in time. The decision making process in a customer's buying cycle will change as well, because you will create a new method of reaching out to the customer, trying to fulfill the customer expectations. So it starts from the digitization and the marketing piece, but it doesn't end there. Your rest of the functions as well, in terms of the way we deliver the customer experience on the site, the way we deliver the product within your organization, also the changes that will be required to be done because of these changes that the customer is expecting from us. All of that will form a part of the technological adaptation that all of us will have to do. So I think in this kind of environment, clarity and agility in the way we take decisions is going to be extremely important, and technology is something that I think as a sector we will focus on across the functions.
I think technology will definitely come as a great enabler. And I was reading some places is that this when people come to buy this, there is the word called FOMO, or the fear of moving out, that I will lose out. I think those issues has to be looked at it in a different way. So how you address that, a lot of new innovative thoughts need to come in. But thanks, Abhishek, for explaining this point to our whole audience team. I will again come back to Mr. Sharma and ask him a very important question. Sir, what do you think can be some probable statutory interventions which the industry can look forward to?
Indranil, I think that is what so far is missing in whatever we have been trying to talk or communicate. Doesn't mean it is not going to happen, but the whole ecosystem has been waiting for last 6 weeks, because almost all the countries today who have got this COVID related challenges, they have been, literally speaking, quite proactive to see to it that the fiscal stimulus is provided to the business people as well as to the normal population to tide over the short-term crisis. Sometimes I wonder that without any financial assistance, this country, the way it has shown not only the resilience, but the kind of peace and tranquility, it defies logic. So either are we over exaggerating our challenges? I do not know. Or are we really needing sometimes this kind of fiscal stimulus? Unanimously, all of us will agree, yes. But at the same time, yes, there has been nothing of that sort, save and except some kind of the what you call a repo rate reduction by the RBI, and a small moratorium of 3 months to the borrowers in the big context I'm talking about. So going forward, with Prime Minister on record saying this, there is a task force which is looking at providing a fiscal stimulus, and looking at that the kind of important role the sector plays, which you have shown in your opening slides, the number of industries dependent on us, the number of workmen dependent on us, the kind of contribution this sector has in the overall GDP, next to only the agriculture sector, something reasonably we can expect. In this background, we need to ensure that what are the things with which we are going to get impacted. The first and foremost thing to kickstart this sector, the businesses will require lots of liquidity, and that liquidity has to come at a low cost. So some kind of a restructuring, come moratorium, come availability of interest at lower rates is reasonably expected by the industry from the government. Then to see that how to spur the demand, because the demand has to be incentivized. And in order to incentivize the demand, this is my view, that somewhere the interest cost for the home loan, like right now it is 3% subvention on an affordable housing, it is required that it is extended at least to the first home buyer up to maybe 2 crore rupees or a crore of rupees, to see to it that they get some kind of an benefit. It can be done uh, in two parts. You take a housing loan for 20 years, so you can be given 3% incentive now, 3% incentive maybe 3 years from now, another 1 or 2% maybe 3 years thereafter, sort of a thing. And the economy can absorb, and you would have created the real wealth in a household which will withstand all kind of such pandemic or unforeseen pressures. So there has to be some kind of a, to the customer to revive his interest, some kind of interest relief is expected. Similarly, we believe that tax rates seems to be quite high. We are absorbing all the input cost on our construction, which is today 18% and about 12% of the total value I was talking. So that plus 5% if you are supposed to pay to the government, it is loaded to the customer. So we believe that on that front also some kind of a relief must be provided by the government, so that the GST is rationalized in our sector. And above all, today the first home buyer or for the rental housing, the income tax benefits are very low. And if you take the instance of Bangalore alone, about 40% of the people may be owning the home, 60% have not owned the home. This 60% are the people who have come to Bangalore in last decade or so. They all will be needing a home, or they will be needing a good rental home. So from that perspective, I believe that some kind of a rental housing scheme and some kind of an income tax benefit to the people who invest in the second home to be given for the rental sort of a thing, or to the companies who are providing this kind of a co-living, it is about time that the government gives them some kind of a 5-year, 10-year tax exemption, so that they create kind of an assets needed for this country, for the people who come to work can stay on those places without any issues. Once you start figuring it out, all such things, you also need to remember that people will say government may not have the money. But today, nobody is talking about any kind of a fiscal prudence. We can print money, there can be an initial fiscal imbalance, but with the overall global interest cost about 1%, with inflation already being killed, with good agricultural background we are having, and the crude prices at its record low, India is so advantageously placed that if it has to kickstart its economy, it can protect dollar, it can reduce its import bill, it can provide jobs to the millions of people in the construction sector, and all such things will mean that this is about time that two-pronged efforts from the government to revive the demand, and as well as to see to that the supply side incentives are given, must be announced, and must be announced maybe as early as next week, so that all of us have clarity of directions when we reopen, to work out our short-term, medium-term, long-term business plans, and take advantage, and never before advantage India has been gifted to capitalize upon.
That's great to know, and I hope audience who are listening, and somebody who in the senior government level, if anybody is listening, I hope we can expect some help and support coming to our industry. We are coming closer to the end of our session, and a lot of the invaluable feedback that has come in terms of preparedness, in terms of the contribution and the thoughts which the industry leaders and thought leaders are giving, I would look at the summarization of this, and I would go to Riza Sebastian. Riza, can you summarize some of the points and say how are the brands going to build this trust? How are they going to take it to the investors, their loyal base of customers? How will they build this trust?
Indranil, for me, trust is a byproduct of consistent commitment to quality and excellence. I don't think there is any way out of it. And if you can continue to deliver the right results to the right people consistently, they will come to believe and trust in your product and service, and in turn become your evangelists, right? The Indian real estate market has gone through a significant change over the last decade, and some of the best developers in the country are based in South India. And I would say almost all of them have representation on this forum. And why we are different from the rest is because we have corporatized our business. We have strengthened corporate governance. We have identified lower cost of capital financing. We are focused on execution and delivery. There's been no other way out of it. We have increased our customer focus and definitely applied much higher levels of transparency. So this focus on international best practices, investments in innovation, how can we technical advances that we can make in the field of sustainability or environmental and energy efficient designing, all of which people management, what is the improvement, like what Mr. Sharma said about improvements in construction management practices. These are some of the changes that have definitely made a positive impact on consumer confidence. And I would say that well-informed consumers will continue to trust grade A developers across cities. And consumer centricity will be the key towards developing a brand and to build trust in a brand. And only those brands will be able to stand the test of time.
Fantastic. One last point, and to all the panelists and thought leaders here, if all of you, have to give a key message to the fraternity from this platform, I'll go to each of you ever so quickly. If you can give one quick word, and I'll start with Abhishek. What is the key message you want to give it very quickly?
So I believe, I don't know if I said this in the past, humanity has never faced a challenge like this, but every time we have been resilient and we are capable of bouncing back. My view is in the medium and long term, we will be back in action and everything is going to be all right and we are going to be on a growth path. But having said that, there is a short-term situation which needs to be addressed. We need government support for sure on multiple levels to manage and tide over these disruptions, which will be probably 3 to 6 months time frame. But having said that, I think if we are able to get the right support and investment conducive environment from the government, this is an opportunity for the businesses to realign themselves. This is I would say a strategic inflection point that is happening to our businesses at this point in time. If we are able to realign ourselves and deliver with efficiency, I think it's an opportunity for a lot of players to come out of this many-fold stronger and larger. So that's my
great. Mr. Mahesh, what is your view on the message to the fraternity?
To fraternity, my message to be at this point of time, be positive. And I can say this is the right time for investment. As you say that Ganga never go reverse. So I can say the real estate, similar way that will never go back. So it's a right opportunity for each and everyone to invest at this point of time. And as Sarmaji also said, that prices is definitely going up and construction point of view. So don't expect this market will fall down, and especially in southern part of India, I can say that we are working single digits and sometime at the BEP point also too. So don't expect as okay, tomorrow time will come and we'll buy. So this is I can say right opportunity to invest into real estate.
Thank you. Riza, what's your take?
I would say that India is still a big growth story, and even assuming conservative GDP increases, consumption expenditures will continue to rise. And there is this whirlwind of financial and marketplace dynamics which is going on today, which is why this consumer behavior, I would say, is evolving every day. And once this pandemic is controlled, India, I would believe, would actively engage in rebuilding this world economy. And we have an opportunity to be the world's global manufacturing hub, which in turn would, I would say, boost FDI, would boost infrastructure, and would boost employment. As somebody mentioned, India is the youngest nation, oldest civilization in the world, and with our fundamentals of business, macros of revival and real estate in place, and with the right kind of support and stimulus packages from the government, I think we can rebuild this prosperous nation. And I believe that it's tough times like this that provide the true test for all businesses. And what will differentiate sustainable businesses from the rest would be our ability to handle such times by adapting, by staying agile, and by reimagining the new normal.
Fantastic. Mr. Sharma, what's your key message from this?
See, I sincerely believe that future will be decided by the people who have the optimism. Indians basically are optimistic people, and Indians are also fast learners. Every crisis allows us to do self-introspection and corrects wherever we had gone wrong. We may not be publicly admitting, but trust me, during last 40 days, all of us have been working day in, day out to see that we redesign our businesses, whether it is the size, whether it is the scale, whether it is the debt equity part, whether it is the product, whether it is understanding our fixed cost as well as the variable cost, and ensuring that even the variable cost starts coming down because we try to adapt and adopt newer technologies, newer understandings. So I personally feel that because of what we have done in the last 40 days, and because we are operating from a sector where the underlying demand only has been deferred, it has not just perished, it has only rather accumulated in large numbers. My sense is that we have to prepare for tomorrow through better customer connect, through better technologies, using the online platform, digital platform, to see to it that our services improve further, our offerings improve even better, and our prices still remain competitive.
Thank you very much. And this brings us to the end to the Q&A session. I'll go very quickly to some of the questions which the team has shortlisted from the audience. We need to be cognizant of the time, but a quick questions to a few of you. Abhishek, one interesting question has come on the point that you said that the demand is going to go up. One of the viewers have asked that if the impact is on the purchasing power and rising unemployment, and there's a question of liquidity in the short term or in a medium term, how do you think the demand will go up? Is one of the questions.
Okay, so let me answer this question in two parts. One is how do we see it in the short term, right? In the short term, obviously the view is, as I mentioned in my earlier remarks also, that it will take longer for people to take decisions. It will take for them to understand and stabilize, and post-COVID, with this new experience of marketing and sales, going through the buying decision will be unique and different than what it was before. That clearly is going to happen. But having said that, are we saying that the business is going to stop? Are we saying that we are going to have massive disruption of the economy? I don't think so. I think, along, as Sharma ji said, along with all the governments across the world which are announcing stimulus packages, our government is also going to announce it, and I'm quite hopeful it will announce it very, very shortly. Other than that, I think business houses per se and industry per se in this country, whenever has been pushed in a corner, has outperformed and has come back stronger. I think we are at the same inflection point today. People should not look at this and have a knee-jerk view of what is about to unfold. To my mind, I think the buying decisions may be slightly longer. There may be temporary mismatches in cash flow, but I think in next 3 to 6 months we will see that things are back to the new normal. My view on liquidity is exactly what Sharma ji said. If you look at the liquidity that's pumped in by the government, RBI banks today have more than 6 lakhs crores of liquidity which they need to disperse to the industry. And I'm quite certain that that will happen. The other big piece is, we're already hearing a lot of murmurs around the fact that there is a large amount of global realignment that's going to happen, and the government is definitely going to take this opportunity to bring maximum advantage to this country. So are we also saying that we have lost on the businesses that were happening pre-COVID? I don't think so. I think the only thing that's happened, and numbers may look different, is only because we have lost time. We have not lost the demand. At least in our sector, for sure, we have not lost the demand. In certain sectors, yes, for a quarter, you might have a challenge, and therefore the next quarter, annually, if you look at it, it may be different in this year versus the previous year, because for 3 or 2 months, you will have serious disruptions. But post that, are we expecting that we will not go back to normal? I think that's a very, very skewed view of things. My view is there has to be a balanced way of looking at it, and I am reasonably optimistic in the way that we will go ahead in next 2 months. So my view is that people will buy, and yes, there may be certain changes, there may be certain corrections, but once the market bounces back, we'll be back in action. So my view in the short term may be disruptive, medium and long term, I think we'll be pretty much back in demand.
Thank you. I will probably have time for only one more question, and I'll go to Mr. Mahesh Khaitan. One of the audience persons guests have come and asked a question. Which market in India do you think will be least affected? And will the investment in South India be more than other part of India? I guess he's looking for some serious investments, and we wish him Godspeed, but I'd still like to hear from Mr. Mahesh what he feels about it.
I don't think there is any rocket science in that. Basically, the South India definitely is close to my very heart, actually. And definitely, I can say, won't be least affected. It won't be affected at all. I can say that during we can see there's a last 2-3 years, there's a huge pressure on, especially in real estate, different part of India. But I can say the southern part of India is still, I can say, it's doing well. And remember, Sarmaji, if you are there, I called you when during the Lehman Brothers fallen down, and you said while sleeping everything was fine, and when I got up in the morning, and where we lost, we don't know. You see the South India, how they come back, and immediately today where we are. Remember this point, and today I can say South India, you can say including Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai, and even small city of South India also is doing good. We can comparably, I can say, even though I'm leasing prospect point of view, I'm saying right now, commercially, that's all business start from there when the business comes and the employment being generated and the residential market being created. In the southern part of India is almost 60% of market being covered by southern part of India only. So definitely southern part of India, I don't see there is any challenge. As Abhishek said, it might be for 1 or 2 quarters, there might be pressure, but as we won't lose the market, it just being postponed. Yes, there will be, as a commercial space point of view, I can say there will be challenge for the 2 or 3 quarters. When those things get corrected, we'll come back.
So can I add one point I missed out? Yeah. I think as an investment opportunity, to my mind, the whole country is going to relook at where they are putting their money. Are they going to put their money in the banks at low interest rates? Are they going to put their money in bonds with mutual funds? Are they going to put their money in liquid mutual funds? They will put their money in stock markets. Where are they going to put money? Or are they going to put money in gold, or are they going to put money in real estate? My view clearly, and I'm reiterating, is that there is no better time to buy real estate. People have realized what's happened in the last 2 months. The only real hard asset that is available, and that is where the demand is going to come from, and that is why the demand is going to go up, because the only hard asset which will protect your principal and you have it tangibly with you and it's your own is real estate.
Great to know. Great to know. And thanks for sharing this story and your learnings. I come to the end, and Colliers International wishes to thank all of you. We are happy to bring it to our audiences. Colliers, as you know, believes in accelerating the success and bringing maximum value to our clients. So thanks again to our panelists for your time and gracing the time and giving your secrets, giving your advices, giving your learnings. Thanks to the audience for listening and the back-end team of Colliers for putting together this great show. So have a good day, all of you. And here's wishing you a brighter tomorrow. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil, and thank you everyone who participated in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.